A lot of cool things happening at RIC.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Taco Comfort Solutions.
Great to have you aboard. At the risk of producing an infomercial tonight, I've got the president of Rhode Island College in, and I'm glad to have him because I think we've been well overdue. If you've been following any of the work that I've done here over the last couple of decades, you know that education is a real interest for me. I think it is. I don't think I have the market cornered on being interested in education, but for conversation and for coverage and for things that we all ought to know, Rhode Island College has been this, I think, diamond in the rough for a really long period of time, and I have touted it, present company not being super served here. You're going to meet the president in a second, but I've been saying this for years and years, that Rhode Island College is a jewel in the sense that in terms of return on investment, and with the high cost of tuition and all the kind of expense that families have engaged in, indulged in, burdened themselves with, and kids who now are just, you know, after the climax, if you will, of the degree and the search for a job and a career, you know, carrying around that $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 a month payment to pay off that education, all of a sudden, you know, where did you go? You know, the where are you going is always exciting, right? Like, where are you going? And you ask kids. I think I'm hoping it's lesser these days, but you know, in even my daughter's day, my daughter is now 29 years old, but when she was graduating from high school, kids would say, yeah, oh, I don't know, I'm going to RIC. And I'd say, what do you mean you're going to RIC? Like, oh, why the bob of the head? Why the roll of the eyes? Well, you know, I don't know, my parents said, you know, probably save some money, and you know, I think I'll commute, and I was like, congratulations, you're making a terrific decision. Check me in 10 years about how free you feel about that decision to go to RIC. I used to chide the institution a little bit about being kind of a, you know, socialist organization because it's kind of, you know, they have the, you know, left of center curriculum on the social part of things, but as you mature, you start to think, you know what, there's a certain really important role for that kind of education, and now the degrees have really kind of grown. If you haven't followed the scoreboard here about technology and cyber and all of that, some really cool things are happening. So I want to kind of get into that with the president here. And as far as the news of the week, yeah, we got to rebuild the bridge. Actually, we got to replace the bridge. Actually, we're getting a new bridge. And all the details of that and what happened still to be explained by the administration. Yeah, we still have a presidential election, and we'll get back to that as we go and whatever. But I want to take some quality time here tonight to talk to the president of Rhode Island College about really important things that are happening there. So here was the headline back in middle of 2022. Jack Warner was tapped as Rhode Island College's next. He is an experienced guy in education, sat on a big board in Massachusetts for a long time, understands the game as well as anybody in our region. And late last year, here was the coverage of the introduction of what is a really important center and a really important major. Take a look.
President Joe Biden's top cybersecurity official came here to urge people to enter the field as artificial intelligence grows to be a threat to our United States infrastructure. Rhode Island College's auditorium was filled with people, including state and federal elected officials, and President Biden's Director of Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, Jen Easterly.
It's critical that we're able to recruit and train and prepare and inspire that next generation of cybersecurity professionals.
Led by former Congressman Jim Langevin, the college is launching the Institute for Cybersecurity and Emerging Technologies, offering an undergraduate degree in cybersecurity and a master's degree beginning next fall. A major focus is the use of artificial intelligence. In an exclusive interview with Target 12, Easterly says AI is unpredictable and growing at a rapid pace.
There is a lot of good that can come out of these capabilities, but we need to keep in mind that these are tools which can create risk, and we have to work to manage those downsides.
Easterly says the college's graduates will help both the public and private sectors get ahead of the growing threat of cyber attacks, since there's a nationwide demand of 500,000 open jobs in the industry.
You don't need a PhD in computer science to join the cybersecurity business. You know, you can graduate from a community college, you can graduate from Rhode Island College, and you can start right doing cybersecurity in a business.
According to Langevin, every 11 seconds, a bad actor launches a ransomware attack against hospitals, municipalities, and businesses. He says the Institute will help fill a vital need for more experts to enter into the field.
It's really not just about growing the federal government's size of the pie, it's about growing the whole pie itself and increasing the number of cyber defenders that we have in the workforce.
State labor officials estimate there are about 2,700 cybersecurity jobs open in Rhode Island. The average salary is over $100,000. In Providence, Sarah Grinelli, 12 News.
So that was a good overview from last year, and since there's been an AI conversation that was in the news a couple of weeks ago, let's introduce the president of Rhode Island College. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you, Dan.
Congratulations on the gig.
Yes.
You're a veteran guy. Why'd you take this? Why'd you take this deal? You didn't have to do this.
Well, Rick is the most mission-driven institution around. We serve first-generation students. We've served families that have never experienced this level of education before. I call ourselves the Opportunity College of Choice. And when you have a chance to make a difference at a place like Rhode Island College, you seize it. And those opportunities don't come along very often, but when they do, and you have the opportunity, I said, why not? I think that just the things that needed to be done, I knew about. As a former commissioner of higher ed, I knew the institution. My wife is a grad from the communications program there. So I've had a fondness for Rhode Island College all along, and so when this opportunity came along, I said, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, I mentioned that you were you're the vice chancellor, I think, of the board in Mass for what, near 2 decades?
I was, well, for about 5 years.
Oh, 5 years.
I spent a lot of time in the Mass higher ed system.
Okay.
Worked at a couple of community colleges, UMass Dartmouth, and then I had a time at the Board of Higher Ed.
Right,
Yeah.
and then and commish here, and is there a culture difference between the collegiate system at your level in Rhode Island versus Mass?
Yeah, one of the main differences is that we're the only institution in our sector of higher ed, and so is URI, and so is CCRI. In Massachusetts, there are 15 community colleges. There are 9 state universities and 5 campuses of UMass. So the culture there is much more competitive. The competition is intense for students, but also for programs, for geographic area that is served. Here it's been, you don't get the sharing of best practice with other colleagues either. So that's why we've invested a lot in professional development, getting our faculty and staff out to hear about practices elsewhere. That's embedded in the culture of Massachusetts. You don't see it much here because we're much smaller.
Gotcha. Because each tier, I think what the president is saying here is that we got one community college system. It's got a couple, one college. It's got branches, but it's not a competitive school with others. You know, I lived in Western Mass for a long time. You have Springfield Technical Community College right around the corner from where you were born, right? Yeah. And there are like types of institutions strewn through the Commonwealth. Here we have CCRI. Of course, URI has been thinking big for a long time. That was Dr. Dooley's theme, and the new president, Dr. Perlange, has been renewed and is really taking that place to yet another plateau. Rhode Island College, I want to talk about the cybersecurity thing, but Rhode Island College is got an incredibly unique and important niche. It's a 4-year institution. It's a legit college. Yeah, you could live there if you want to, but it's kind of known as a commuter school. It sits in its own unique kind of place, doesn't it?
Well, we are a teaching and learning institution. We have very high quality faculty who do incredible research and scholarship to keep abreast of the latest in their fields. They offer an intense curriculum to students, so no lack of rigor at Rhode Island College. We offer the best in instruction. We like to support our students. Many of our students come from backgrounds that aren't as strong as other places, but we take them from where they are and we support them to get our high quality degree. So it's not just about price. We do very well on price, especially with the Hope Scholarship now, but we add value for the dollar, and we were ranked a couple of years ago #1 in New England, or in the Northeast, in fact, in social mobility, meaning we take students from modest backgrounds and the value that we add makes them climb the social mobility ladder faster than most other places.
I was kidding earlier about, in the early days I used to get after Rick a little bit when I saw a lot of liberal legislation and a lot of brainstorming coming out of the college in that category. Some people think I've had a political lobotomy. No, I just don't like Donald Trump. I'm still kind of a right of center thinker in a lot of ways, but the purposefulness, though, of a lot of the social work, mental health work, all that kind of stuff is rearing its head in a really, really big way. I want to get to the cyber, sure, but that's important. The teaching program and the need for quality teachers and the volume of teachers that we need is an ever-present demand right now.
You bet.
You're into the nursing thing, you're into, I mean, there's a lot of occupational decision-making by young people that can be super served at Rhode Island College. For a return on investment, with the Hope Scholarship, you're going to school for 2 years, no charge.
Well, think of it. We can offer a bachelor's degree for $22,000. First of all, our tuition and fees
Game over.
It is the lowest in New England among our peers, so we've won the race to the bottom for that. But it's value for the dollar that we really offer. But an entire degree for $22,000, and that's if you pay for all of it on your own, with scholarship help, with need-based aid and other.
If you want room and board, that'd be extra.
That's extra, right? But if you want the degree for tuition and fees, that's a tremendous value.
What's
now.
the percentage of kids on campus now?
We've always been around 10, 12%, maybe 15% in an interesting year. Even when the college was much bigger, our residence hall capacity was, back then was 1,100. It's about 900 now. We've taken a residence hall offline.
They still mostly local kids, or are they there because they're traveling in?
We serve mostly commuters, always have.
I'm talking about the kids that live there. They live there by choice because they want a little bit of that college campus life, or they do that because they came from another state?
A mix of the two. There are some Rhode Islanders that want the residential experience, so they're there. But we also recruit. We recruit our athletes. We recruit students from all over the Northeast, and those students need to live on campus. So it's a combination of the two.
If you haven't been to Rhode Island College in a while, you ought to check in with security and slip through. It really is. It's a very quaint walk. It's a nice campus layout.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that, I'm sure tons of people are driving by it, in Providence. Of course, I play a little golf at Triggs every once in a while, and I peer over the fence and look over at the campus, and when the trees are losing their leaves, you can see the whole campus. When the trees are there in the summer, you can't see much of it. It's not just like a couple of cement buildings. It's a nice walk.
We have interesting architecture. The state has really stepped up and invested in our facilities. 2 brand new classroom buildings, totally redone. 3 actually, because we have Horace Mann that came online last January. And we have Clark Science being renovated right now. We've got a new soccer and lacrosse field, brand new surface on that, brand new track and field complex up behind the residence halls. So there's a lot to see, 180 acres.
No doubt. All right, we'll talk about the cybersecurity thing when we come back. It's important, to have an institute on a campus is a real marketing sell. We'll be right back. All right, speaking of the cybersecurity project, it's not a project. This is an institute that will generate student traffic, correct?
Absolutely.
It will fill jobs needed in the economy. But it seems to me that when a college actually gets branded with a high-level specialty, all sorts of other good things happen, right? And so this, I mean, cybersecurity is the time. It's the time. I mean, everybody's freaking out about AI. Everybody's freaking out about whether my phone has been poisoned. Everybody's, right?
You bet. 1,000 jobs in Rhode Island alone. They pay 6 figures. So what we're trying to create here is what we call a center of excellence. So we want to be known as the place to go for cybersecurity, information technology, artificial intelligence. That's a program that's under development. We want to have that degree program available by next fall. So we're also looking at a technology-based MBA program because that fills a niche that we think that we can be excellent at. So a center for excellence is really what you want to be noted for, among other things.
And networking in the expertise, Congressman Langevin, former Congressman Langevin, that was his bailiwick in Washington. I mean, that's his thing.
Well, and we were so pleased when he chose us to locate this.
They were talking about him having your job.
I heard that.
Yes. Were you in a competition with him for the gig?
You have to understand, Jim and I have been friends for 20 years.
Okay.
So he knew that I would be qualified to run the institution, and he would be qualified to do the cybersecurity center.
Got it.
And so I thought that was an appropriate division of labor.
Yes,
So-
no doubt. But I mean, it is his big thing.
It is his big thing. He's
Yeah.
got connections all over the country. We'll take advantage of those. We'll look at partnerships with the big tech companies to help us with that. What the state investment does, the state invested $2 million, is it cuts our risk. You know, you establish a center that would eventually break even by bringing in the resources to add to the quality of the enterprise that you're looking at. But the state helped us mitigate the risk of that by putting the $2 million up. So we can go develop those relationships, bring in resources to sustain the center over time, and support the program as it develops. So think of the program. We approved the cybersecurity major last June, and by fall we had over 35 majors already. This year, for this coming fall, we have 135 students indicating an interest in cybersecurity through their applications to the institution. So we're really seeing interest in it. You want to see that level of demand.
How do you perfect the curriculum? If I'm a parent of a kid who's thinking about that, I think to myself, I don't know, it's kind of brand new. You know, they just started it. You know, is it mature? Is that a fair question at this point?
It's only a fair question if you're having to train existing faculty to do it.
Yeah.
But we're hiring experts and bringing them in. So it all starts with a high-quality faculty who are highly skilled in their expertise, and they're the ones who will guide the development of all the future courses. They'll set up the curriculum, they'll set up the instruction in a way that will provide advantages, not just for the students, but think of it, when we renovate Whipple Hall, which is our next project up, we'll have 2 cyber ranges and a security operations center in there. And that can be used not just for the traditional students, but businesses.
What does cyber range look like?
Oh, cyber range is really kind of fun.
Just a bunch of computers?
It's a computer lab, but there are attack and defend scenarios that get played out, and there are lights that flash. I mean, it's an interesting thing to see. Bridgewater State just opened its news center, and we sent our folks there to look at what they're doing. But you could be on the attack squad, which helps you think like a hacker, or you could be on the defend squad that defends against it. And so in real time, you're defending against real
I got to go and sit
hacks.
on the defense squad. I keep violating corporate policy for getting hooked into a bad email. No, seriously.
Well,
they keep testing me to see if I take the bait. I didn't take the last 2, but I was in detention for about 30 days with the company by answering bad mail.
You think you deserved it?
Huh?
Did you
Oh, no
deserve
doubt.
it?
You know, I get so much mail. They'll go,
Yeah.
and click on something, go, oh, boom, woo, woo, woo. you know, all the,
well,
not good.
Yeah, we'll have the bells and whistles in there. Before we renovate the new facility, we'll put it in Alger Hall as an existing facility. So we'll have one range in there. We'll have two in the new building, and that'll be a magnet to attract students, but also companies. You know, think of it. Everybody has IT people, but they may not have the in-depth skills to defend cyber attacks.
Sure.
So we can train folks.
And you're never not going to be updating, that's for sure. When we come back, final thought on the brand of Rick. Stay with us. Look, all this good stuff adds into reasons that people will see Rhode Island College in a better light. It has for decades, I think, had that I'm going to Rick thing. I'm not sure, because I'm not checking in as much to the young people graduating. You know, my kid is now 10 years out. Candid answer: do you feel that improving, and/or what does the school have to do to knock that consolation prize safety school disposition out of the current prospects?
It's a great question. One of the things we're trying
for
to
which
convey,
I only have a minute, of course.
There you go. We're trying to depict Rick as a college on the move. This is a place to be. We're enhancing our student life. We're making sure that students want to come because we'll engage them. We always had high quality faculty and staff, but we can attract them in by things like the Hope Scholarship, which will be a magnet. What we want to be is what I call the opportunity college of choice.
We don't have time to talk about the Hope Scholarship at length here, but check it out, look it up. Simply said, if you go for 4, the first 2 are free. I mean, it's as simple as that.
That's right.
Right.
Last 2 are free.
If you go for 4, the last 2 are free.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to make sure that you do what you need to do in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
But only a minute here. The work of the school in and of itself, I'm sure, will start to diminish that. Well, it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world, I think, to have a brand new campaign to talk about Rick, because it is not a consolation prize. And I'll tell you, the number of kids I see who are saddled with debt, who coulda, woulda, shoulda, are
well, think of it.
Ample.
If you have debt, you're less likely to go to graduate school, and that's where education really pays off.
Guess what? You're less likely to live on your own.
And
You'll
buy
be
a
at mommy
house.
and daddy's house for a long time.
And buy a car. But all of those things come into play.
Yeah.
We can get you to a high-quality education debt-free.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
As simple as that. Again, congratulations. Keep us up to date. Good work.
Thank you, Dan.
You bet. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Final word when we come back. Stay with us. Yeah, Mom, Dad, when they say safety school, Rick, think again. Have a good week. See ya.